food is not just the thing to get the job done, but it's something that like cuisine and culture arises out of. You can create that within your home. Hey everybody, it's Vinty Mark and I am back with another video. But before we get started, I would like to invite you to check out today's outfit of the day. And if you have not had an opportunity, head over to themodestfitting.com and sign up for my newsletter so you can be notified when I drop my first collection of skirts and dresses featuring modesty, femininity, and beauty. But without further ado, let's begin. I'm continuing a series on a book called Fascinating Womanhood, written by Helen Andelin, and today's topic of discussion is meal preparation and the importance of it in the home. She says meals are highly important to most husbands and children. Imagine how they feel when they come home after a busy day, hungry and tired, but now they can count on a good meal as a regular part of family life. As they open the door, they smell bread baking, onions frying, or a delicious pot of soup brewing on the stove. This sets a wonderful atmosphere in the home. Elaborate meals aren't necessary. What is important is that the meals be on time, nutritious, and taste good. I think that this is important for new and seasoned homemakers to bear in mind. You do not have to be a professional chef. You don't have to be a professional chef. You just need to be someone who can prepare. 1, can you make a meal? That's the first thing. Number 2, are the meals on time? Number 3, are they nutritious? And number 4, do they taste good? Do they taste relatively good? This is something that if you take pride in feeding your family well, you're going to want positive feedback from them. This is the stuff that, you know, when we think about good food that we had growing up, food that our mothers prepared for us, that our grandmothers prepared for us, that food was good. But by the time you reach grandma status, you've had years of practice under your belt such that you know what it's going to take to make a meal that's going to elicit positive responses from the people that you're serving. When you're just starting out, the responses may be hit or miss because you're still honing your craft. You're still fine-tuning your skill. I would say, and what I would say is if you're someone who cares about serving your family in that way, that negative feedback is probably going to hurt, feel a little discouraging, and be a little disheartening. But what I would say is that just like all things that are important, take this to your Father in prayer. I actually pray about meal preparation and the food that I serve, and I ask God. Matter of fact, I have my prayer book here. I'm just going to read verbatim what I say, what I ask the Lord, and He's been faithful to help me with that. I said, Father, would you guide and instruct me on how to be a skillful cook, preparing meals that are first and foremost healthy and nutritious, and secondly, delicious. This is something that I pray daily because I recognize that when I think about all of the food that our Father has given us, all of the spices and the seasoning that He's made available for us to use, if there's anyone who knows how to cook, it's God. And I think that when you talk about people who prepare meals that are like delicious, you're not just talking about something that happened coincidentally. This is real skill. And some people say that skill and wisdom are one and the same. So someone who prepares good meals, they have skill, they have wisdom, and wisdom comes from one place, and it comes from the Father. So there is nothing that's too small that you can't ask your God in heaven, your Father, to give you the skill and the wisdom to execute it. And I think that because our God, he's not someone that just does the bare minimum. He always shows out. He always goes above and beyond. So when He gave us the need to eat, He didn't just give us bland things. He gave us the ingredients and all of the necessary tools to make cuisine. We could have just eaten blocks that were complete with all of the nutrients we needed, and they were bland, but they got the job done. No, God, He gave us the skill to create cuisine, to make food not only delicious but look good. And if the same God who made all of those materials is the same Father that you have access to in prayer, pray to Him about blessing your hands, blessing your efforts, giving you skill and wisdom, and keep praying it over yourself until you get to grandma status. And hopefully you can get there before you become an actual grandma. Many of the women that I grew up, some of my friends, I would go to their house and their mothers could throw down. They could throw down, and you could always tell whose mothers were the homemakers and the housewives, because you could see they spent time honing this craft and this skill. But what I'm saying is you can get to that level. And one of the first steps that I would advise that you do is to pray. Pray about it. God can bless your hands. He can gift your mind with understanding and skill so that food is not just the thing to get the job done, but it's something that like cuisine and culture arises out of. You can create that within your home. She goes on to say, of all the domestic tasks other than the care of little children, the most urgent is feeding the family. Other things can wait. Meals are in daily demand. To succeed, allow enough time. It takes time to cook a good meal. Don't skimp by preparing something in a last-minute rush. Instead of setting a time to serve the meal, set a time to begin preparation. That last sentence is important. And it's something that I didn't realize I was following her, because this is my first time reading this book, but I am in the habit of setting schedules about when to begin a certain thing. When it comes to dinner, I always aim to have dinner ready to be eaten at 6 o'clock. But more important than the time you want to eat is the time that you begin. If you watched my video about how to prepare your body for intimacy with your husband, I mentioned that my afternoon routine includes bathing, perfuming, moisturizing, putting on a nice dress that's just for the purposes of amusing and entertaining my husband. I do that at 4:30, but the reason why I do that at 4:30 is because I know that come 5 o'clock, I'm going to start cooking. So anything that I plan to do needs to be done well before that, because at 5 o'clock, food preparation begins. Hopefully in the effort that it's going to be done by 6, but if you have to do something that's going to take longer than an hour, start even earlier than that. Another skill or practice that I've put in place to cut down on the time it takes to make a good quality meal is that on Fridays are the day that we eat out, we order. So I don't have to cook dinner that day, but that doesn't mean that I'm not working for meal preparation. On Fridays, I go through all of the recipes that I have lined up for the coming week, because yes, I do meal plan. I know what we're gonna have for dinner every single night, a week in advance. And I go through and I look, what preparation do I need to be done? Do I need to get done? Out of the 7 recipes or 6 recipes that I have, I know that I'm gonna need 5 onions chopped. So I chop all 5 onions on Friday. I chop up all of the cilantro, the parsley, the scallions. I get the garlic grated. I get the ginger grated that I'm going to need. If I need red onion, I've got that in a separate container. I do all of the vegetable preparation in advance so that when it comes time to prepare the meal in the evening, I have a fresh home cooked meal that didn't take 2 hours to make because I did all of the preparation ahead of time. If you really want to get fancy and you really want to save time but keep having meals that are really well thought out and made well, but they're very nutritious, you can simplify the meals so that every night of the week you're going to have chicken, but you're going to have it prepared different ways. You might have chicken tacos. You might have chicken pasta. You might have chicken and gravy over some biscuits. But what you can do is, in addition to preparing all of your vegetables, chopping your onions, chopping your herbs, you can mass prepare the chicken so that another portion is done, and all you're doing is freshly preparing the sides or freshly preparing the base. Like if you have your chicken tacos, you'll have your chicken already cooked and you'll just put them in the flour tortilla. Or if you're doing chicken, the chicken's already cooked and you put it over pasta. So you get what I'm saying? You can do a lot ahead of time to make sure that your meals are home cooked, but they're not taking you 2 hours to do. She goes on to say, many women fail in meal preparation. They go for the quick, easy meals with an emphasis on speed. Their goal is to get in and out of the kitchen in as short as time as possible, using the fewest dishes and making the least messes. They rely on frozen dinners, cold cuts, packaged mixes, canned foods, macaroni, and other quick and easy foods. Even worse, some families don't have regular meals together, they just snack. Get it out of your mind that you're going to do the quick and easy route. Just get it out of your mind. A lot of the stuff that's frozen or that's in a box and can just be thrown on the stove really quick, that's processed food, and there's a lot of stuff in there that while it is convenient, it's probably not the most advantageous for your health. Instead of buying the frozen meatballs, get into the habit of getting some ground beef, getting some ground turkey, getting ground chicken, ground pork, and making your own meatballs. It's not hard to do. It's not hard to do, and you can make it in bulk. You can cook them in bulk, and then you can freeze them, and then you have your frozen meatballs for the convenience, but they're home cooked and they have none of the additives in them. Get out of this leaving meals to last minute. It actually requires pre-planning and forethought. It isn't something that's like, oh, 5:30, I gotta get going. No, you were planning for this ahead of time. You already had the onions chopped. If you're doing the one base for the week, you already had your chicken or you had your beef prepared, and now you're just preparing the side. But get out of this notion of boxed food, frozen foods, things that are usually ready to eat out of the bag. Those are processed foods, and you want to get that out of the way. You want to get into the habit of home cooking your meals, and you're not going to be able to have the one who has mastered culinary skill if you're relying on frozen prepackaged meals. You don't want to do that. That's okay to start if you haven't cooked at all. That's okay to start, but you can't stay there. You got to progress on beyond that. Last point. One reason women go for the quick and easy meals is because they don't want to get the kitchen dirty. But what is the kitchen for? It's not for looking at admiringly, but for working in diligently. The domestic goddess may have pots and pans strewn about the kitchen, steam on the windows, dishes in the sink, and flour on her face, but the result is good home cooking. It's the center of family life. That is totally true. And while I'm not going to discredit having a clean kitchen, just understand that when you don't forego cooking because you're trying to keep the kitchen clean. You do all of your cooking and then you remain diligent to clean it up when you're done before retiring for the evening, so to speak. Don't let your home, remember, the home is for the family. The family is not for the home. You don't abstain from using the kitchen for the purposes of keeping this nice appearance. Use the kitchen. The kitchen is there so that you can serve your family and yourself and keep your bodies healthy. And then when you're done, be diligent to clean it up so that you're back to that level set cleanliness. But don't elevate cleanliness so much so that you don't even utilize that space for what it's actually for. The kitchen is the center of the home. That's when people talk about what triggers memories. A lot of times people can hear a certain thing, but smell. Often what times triggers memories is smell. You may smell some fresh bread and it takes you back to your mother's house. You may smell some, in my house, my husband likes to smoke meat, have the smoker on. When the kids come home, they can smell that wood smoke in the house, and they're like, ooh, what's daddy making? That's gonna be a memory for them. Use the kitchen. Feed your family. Keep them healthy. And then when you're done, clean it up. Let me know what you guys think about what role meal preparation and meals in general play in the home and the homemaker's role in it. Let me know your thoughts below in the comment section. As always, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time.